My middle school field experience for Morningside College. My name is Eric Yerington. So the first question was, were instructional activities successful? And I would say most of my instructional activities were successful. The students seemed to be engaged and excited. They participated well, and I had very few discipline problems, which usually means that students are doing what they should be doing. So that's why I felt they were successful. The next question, could any issues or problems observed have been avoided by pre-teaching expectations or developing clearer rules or expectations? My feeling was most of the issues were minor. They were just kind of, socializing a little bit or, messing around a little bit. And I'm not sure that any amount of pre-teaching could have avoided that. It's just kids being kids and, you deal with that. So I think that all in all, the kids did a really good job. Were the students excited to be in class? I think they were. They enjoyed the activities. I even had students telling me how much fun they had with the various things that we did. And again, they were on task and working really hard. So I would have to say that, yes, they were pretty excited. And I also hear them talking about science and other areas too. So I think they really enjoy the science class, the hands-on. Were the students engaged, and what evidence exists to support such claims? Again, I think they were. Because I walked around and observed them working with their group, completing the requested lab sheets, asking questions, working together. And so all of that kind of combined leads me to believe that, yes, they were engaged and working hard. Was student choice evident? And if so, how? I would have to say with what I did, not at this time, because they were all doing required labs. The student choice would come later, for example, choosing a project or possibly choosing a different way to be assessed. So there wasn't a lot of student choice at this time, but there would be later. Did assessments truly reflect student learning or merely task completion and skill memorization? I feel one of the assessments we gave was a claim evidence reasoning, and I believe that was more than just skill completion, because it required students to apply everything that they've learned during that part of the unit. They had to write a claim, they had to support it with evidence, and then show how the evidence supported what they decided. So I believe that required the higher order thinking that we push instead of just memorizing vocabulary words and so forth. Discuss specific strategies used to assist struggling students and gifted or accelerated students. So for struggling students, I would give them a sentence starter, I would provide more teacher assistance, and I give them more time to complete things. For gifted and accelerated, obviously there's no sentence starters, and I kind of require a little bit more in-depth with their answer. So they're given, they're expected to do a little bit more thinking on the questions. Was an overall sense of pride evident in student learning and teaching, and how might this be observed? I'm not sure how much this was observed in the hours of field experience. It could be observed by students showing their work to others, being excited about what they did, and so on. It was kind of difficult in this short amount of time to show that, though. How do teachers engage in professional development and professional learning communities? We engage in professional development through our teacher in-service days, teacher quality days, which are optional, and then discussing ideas with other informally. My colleague and I discuss informally all the time. I'm always running over and saying, that lab didn't work, what did you do? And so it's kind of informal a lot of times. As far as professional learning communities, our science PLC meets 2 to 3 times a week. We do both whole group and then separate grade level groups as well. So we keep each other in tune that way. Describe school to home communication and how is this best achieved? I would say options for school to home communication include phone calls, handwritten notes, emails, and face-to-face. I find that for me, email is the best one because it's quick. I can check it throughout the day. Most parents have it. It's just one of the easiest ways that I can communicate with parents. So that's the one that I use most often. For my questions, my personal questions, I chose to go back to the initial paper that we filled out with our goals, and I asked myself if I met those goals. So my first one was, did I create an environment of mutual respect, rapport, and fairness? And I believe I did. I try to treat all students fairly. I have built up a very good rapport with most of my students, and I tell stories and jokes to make them feel comfortable in my class. So I think that I did achieve that goal. Did I use instructional strategies appropriate to my content area? Again, I believe I did. I used a lot of strategies, including fist to 5, which is a self-assessment of learning where I ask students, if you have no clue what we talked about, do a fist. If you're kind of, you're not real sure, but you understand a little bit, do 1, and all the way up to 5 if you could explain it to a younger sibling. So I do that a lot as an informal assessment. I do exit tickets, I read aloud to the students, and we have class discussions with a lot of higher order questions instead of just low-level memorization. So I believe I met that goal. Next one was, did I use instructional time effectively to maximize student achievement? And I think I did a good job on this as well. I try to teach bell to bell. I have my lesson plans organized and lined up and ready to go. I have all the supplies we need ready as much as I can, so I can just grab them and go. And I try to keep the students moving and engaged as much as I can. Did I select strategies to engage all students in learning? Well, I sure tried. I encourage all my students to participate. A lot of times when I ask questions, I don't take the first answer, even if it's right. I go and I ask 3 or 4 or 5 students, and then we discuss now which answer is correct and why. So I try to get more students to participate that way. I have students working in partners and groups so that they have to work together. And they all have to do their job so they get the final project done. So I would say that I did select strategies to engage all students. And the next portion of the presentation is on the middle school belief statements. The first one believes that every young adolescent has the capacity to learn, grow, and develop into a knowledgeable, reflective, caring, ethical, and contributing citizen. I believe in this statement because I see how students can grow and change. I hope with my help that they will be learned to be caring and ethical. I try to encourage that by addressing problems that pop up immediately and fairly. I try to talk to students about how they can do things differently the next time that same problem might occur. Second one believes that every young adolescent must have access to the very best programs and practices a school can offer. I believe in this statement because all students deserve to have the best. They thrive when they're receiving the best education we can give. I sum it up as every teacher should be giving every student their best every day. So I believe in that statement wholeheartedly. Next, believes that every young adolescent must be engaged in learning that is relevant, challenging, interrogative, and exploratory. I believe in this statement too because students need to be exposed to curriculum that is relevant but also challenges them at the same time. They need to have time to explore a lot of different varied topics so they can start figuring out where they fit in and what they might want to do with their life. So I do believe in that statement. I'm thankful for our different exploratory classes that our students get the pleasure of attending. Next one, believes that every young adolescent faces significant life choices and needs support in making wise and healthy choices. Oh, absolutely. I definitely agree with this. Students in middle school face a lot of choices that they need help with. They can also be very emotional and they need assistance in controlling their emotions and learning how to deal with things so they can make those important choices and make the right ones. Number 5, believes that every young adolescent thrives academically, socially, and emotionally in a democratic learning environment where trust and respect are paramount and where family and community are actively involved. Again, this is so important. Students do need to trust their teachers and have their teachers trust them. They need to have their family and community involved in their education and supporting it. That's the only way students can be successful. And I try to do that. I mean, I try to support my students in not only their academic, but in their personal lives as well, as much as I can. And believes that every young adolescent deserves educators who are prepared to work with this age group, who are themselves lifelong learners and committed to their own professional development and growth. Again, absolutely. I really believe it takes a special person to teach middle school. Those preteen hormones are raging. They can be tough to deal with. And you know, it does take a special person. Students need teachers who keep learning and growing. That's what I'm doing, taking my classes for my master's degree. So teachers should learn new strategies to help them interact professionally and respectfully toward their students. And so I believe in that statement as well. So basically, I believe in all of them. That's important. So that concludes my presentation. Ron, I really enjoyed the class, and even though at the beginning I felt like it was just a hoop to jump through, I really, really believe I learned a lot, and I appreciate you getting back to us whenever we had questions, and being as open and honest as you can, because I know it was new for all of us. So again, I appreciate everything, and I guess that's the end. Thank you.